Oh, I've got to look disappointed because of the Arsenal game tonight. Premier League drama at its peak. City want Leipzig star the Maldini legend continues at AC Milan, and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, smith-rowe. You are the One Footballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, and over the weekend, the Premier League was on absolute fire. Some ridiculous storylines, some unbelievable games, and of course, as always, Tottenham went to the Emirates and didn't put in a performance. They lost 3-1, and pretty much all of the damage was done in the first half. After 35 minutes, Arsenal, a blitzing, fantastic Arsenal, were 3-0 up, and Tottenham just did not have a response. Despite the fact they pulled a goal back, and Harry Kane himself had quite a few chances throughout the game, they were just no match for Mikel Arteta's side, with energy, with pace on the counter-attack, and with the likes of Smith-rowe and Bukayo Saka on top form, it was always going to be the Gunners' day. In fact, Bukayo Saka is now the youngest player in a North London derby to score and assist in the same game, and things have really turned around for Mikel Arteta's side. I feel like this game posed more questions for Tottenham and actually gave Arsenal quite a few answers. We've seen their defensive frailty certainly towards the start of the season, but in the last few games they've got a lot better at the back. That was actually the first goal they've conceded in the last 3 matches when Heung-min Son scored. Aaron Ramsdale was very good, and well, despite the fact Arsenal didn't do much in the second half, they relied on their defensive attributes to see the game out, and they did it quite well, getting a lot of men behind the ball and defending very well. As for Spurs, it was another blunt performance in attack. They did have some chances, like I mentioned, which they missed, and the pressure, despite the fact there's only been 6 Premier League games this season, is very much on Nuno Espirito Santo. On the flip side of this, and the title race, if you could call it a title race after just 6 games, was blown a little bit more open as the seemingly unstoppable Chelsea were literally stopped by Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. This is always the game where Thomas Tuchel seems to get the better of Guardiola, but not only did the Sky Blues walk away from West London with all 3 points in the bag thanks to a deflected Gabriel Jesus goal, they were also in control of the game and also stopped Chelsea having a shot on target for the first time since Tuchel took over in January. Not exactly the kind of performance and result that you would have expected considering how well Chelsea have started the season. Elsewhere though, and Liverpool also dropped points with a 3-3 draw against Brentford in what was an unbelievably entertaining match. End-to-end stuff, fast-paced, aggressive Premier League football at its finest, and Mo Salah managed to grab his 100th Premier League goal for Liverpool in just his 151st appearance. Insane numbers, absolutely insane. It was a quality finish, and there were other brilliant goals as well, especially from the likes of Curtis Jones, but unfortunately for Jurgen Klopp's men, they came up short, only picking up a point. Having said that, throughout the rest of the season, I'm sure Brentford will be picking up many more points against the top sides, especially at home, if they continue to play like that. And all of this, so Chelsea dropping points, Liverpool dropping points, meant that Manchester United didn't get off the hook, but certainly had it a little bit more favourable towards the end of the weekend after their 1-0 loss against Aston Villa. And Bruno Fernandes' penalty was unbelievable. Honestly, the guy's ridiculously good from the spot. Everybody misses one. It's absolutely fine. I'm sure Bruno will take more penalties. He'll score loads more penalties. He's got a 90% success rate for Manchester United. It just wasn't very Bruno-like. I expected him to do that little skip, hop, jump thing and pass it into the corner. He's blasted it so far into the stands in the, the 92nd minute? Oh God, it was unbelievable. On top of this though, there was loads more exciting football as well, as Jamie Vardy scored in his own net and grabbed a couple for Leicester in their draw. Mikel Antonio proved that he is the most on-form player in the Premier League with another goal as a last-minute winner saw West Ham take all 3 points from Leeds. And yeah, it was just an unbelievably good weekend. It was very kind of difficult to not talk about all the drama in the Premier League. But on top of all of this, the special mention goes to Raul Jimenez. 10 months after fracturing his skull, he was back on the score sheet for Wolves, giving them a 1-0 win at Southampton. Massive plaudits goes to him. Next up then, and to a bit of transfer news actually. I know we're outside the transfer window, but there are 1 or 2 rumours flying around of what could happen in January. And the latest is that Manchester City are going to be making a move for Christopher Nkunku. Now, they've experienced firsthand just how good the attacking midfielder can be as he bagged a hat-trick in the 6-3 victory for Manchester City a couple of weeks ago in the Champions League. And again, this weekend, he was brilliant in the 6-0 drubbing of Hertha Berlin, grabbing 2 goals and an assist. And it's just going to show that he could be a really good creative attacking midfielder, not only with the goals, but with a crazy amount of assists as well. After coming through the PSG Academy, he made a good move to Leipzig. I say that because he got a ridiculous amount of game time and really developed his career. And now he's having a very strong start to the season. I'll be surprising if another top European team doesn't come in for him. Now, I'm not saying that if you're looking at Manchester City's attacking option. Christopher Nkunku is going to be a guaranteed starter, definitely not going to be that central striking role. But when it comes to the other attacking midfielders, if rumours to be believed that Bernardo Silva does want to leave the club, I think Nkunku will be a fantastic replacement for the Portuguese attacking midfielder. The only problem is that because it's Manchester City, Leipzig are going to want a ridiculous amount of money for it. Next up then, and to Serie A, where the Maldini legend at AC Milan just keeps on going. Daniel Maldini scored at the weekend in the 2-1 victory over Spezia, which now meant that he is the third generation of Maldinis to score for AC Milan, 13 years after father Paolo Maldini scored his last goal for the club, and an unbelievable 60 years since Cesare Maldini, his grandfather, scored for the club as well. You just can't write this. The only thing that is a bit of a discontinuation in the AC Milan Maldini storyline is that Daniel is not a defender. He is an attacking midfielder and grabbed his first goal for the club, and it meant that AC Milan pushed themselves towards the top of the table. In fact, they were top until Napoli won yesterday. But on top of all this, there was another win for Juventus, which means they edged closer towards the top of the table. Actually, they've just managed to make it into the top half of the table after a slow start to the season, but don't write them off just yet. By the way, Paulo Dybala's goal, if you haven't seen it yet, whoa, check that out, what a strike. But in the big game between Inter Milan and Atalanta, it was a fantastic 2-2. Such a brilliant, entertaining game, and it really shows that this season in Serie A is wide open. Anyone can take points off anyone, but the biggest of all the games at the weekend was, of course, the Derby della Capitale between Lazio and Roma. And Lazio came out 3-2 winners. Jose Mourinho obviously not happy, and he couldn't help but have a little dig in the press conference after, kind of sandwiched between a massive compliment. He said, since he left Inter Milan 10 years ago, Italian football has improved massively, but the refs and the VAR just really aren't up to scratch. Actually, I'm not quite sure Jose Mourinho has a leg to stand on. Yes, there may have been a few decisions that went against him, but the penalty that Roma got from Nicola Zaniolo was a very harsh decision, I thought, on Lazio. Anyway, they managed to pick up a 3-2 victory, and it now means after a good performance, a good start to the season for Mourinho's side with 4 wins out of 4, they've now lost their last 2. Next up then, we come to a quick round-up of the rest of the day's transfer news that you might have missed. And talking of Lazio, Leicester are apparently interested in their midfielder, Luis Alberto. Bayern Munich have distanced themselves with rumours linking Antonio Rudiger with the club at the end of the season. Juventus are reportedly interested in bringing Dortmund midfielder Axel Witsel, and former Arsenal, Manchester City, Sevilla, amongst others player Samir Nasri has announced his retirement at the age of 34. Next up then, we come to a quick roundup of your Friday feels, some of the ones you got correct in the comment section of Friday's Daily News. And Vatsal Chowdhury guessed that Heung-min Son will be on the score sheet for Tottenham against Arsenal, and Rich Mike 7 correctly guessed that Inter and Atlanta would draw 2-2. And lastly, we've got a very interesting one. And this is because Dalit Tessa didn't not only get nothing right, but also it was such an anti-Barcelona prediction that I just had to read it out because it made me laugh. Not in a mean way, but it was just kind of funny. So Dalit Tessa predicted that Real Madrid would continue winning. Didn't happen in a 0-0 draw against Villarreal. Barcelona would drop points again. You can really feel the anti-Madrid agenda coming in here. And they actually won 3-0. Ansu Fati got on the score sheet after coming back from injury. And lastly, Luis Suarez would score again for Atletico Madrid just to make Barcelona regret selling him. And that didn't happen either. This one, I just had to read this one out because it was kind of funny. But absolutely everything he said with his strong Real Madrid bias, well, the complete opposite happened. And finally then, you're probably expecting Emoji Mondays to come up. Well, we're trying something new this week. We're going to put this out a little bit later in a completely separate video, so make sure you check that out in a little bit. That's all from me then. Check out everything else we've got going on, and until next time, I will see you guys later.